Mr. Charrier, how we doing?
Doing good. And you, Mr. Mulqueen?
Good, man. Back again. New episode, new week.
Yes, I'm excited.
Me too. How are you?
Good. My to-do list looks like a never-ending scrolling social media.
It's
I
like
could scroll my to-do list for hours.
And as soon as you cross one thing off, there's like 3 new things that take its place. It's crazy days.
It's horrible.
Man.
Yeah. No, but I'm almost done. You know, the end of the year is always busy for me.
Yeah.
And
For me too, man. I just finished. I'm done now with touring until February or March or something like that.
Would you want to stay at home a bit, please?
Yeah, dude. I'll just be in this exact location for the next.
Don't move,
3
bro.
months. Yeah,
Stop
I'm not moving.
You've been everywhere. Stop.
But yeah, exciting things happening in the studio, new music, new stuff, and all this. But today, a very exciting day, man.
Yeah, one of the best, percussionist and handpan player I know.
Yeah, I have one of his DVDs from like 2012, 13, 14. I don't even remember. But anyway, our guest today, David Kuckhermann, is on the podcast, and he's done a lot of stuff behind the scenes that everybody might not be aware of with the lawsuit, the PANArt vs the HCU, and so a big thing for us today is to hear from him. I know everybody seemed to love when Colin Folk came on and gave an update on everything, and so it seems that David has
he's been really involved.
New stuff to share.
There's
too.
New stuff to share, and for sure we also want to hear more about his handpan path. And his music and everything, so we'll try to ask questions about
maybe
both,
like the end
aspects.
too. Maybe some of the finger roll tricks and how to.
Bro, when I saw that online, I was like, let's give it a try.
Yeah,
I tried 10 minutes and I really got rid of it. Like I was like, nah, it's not for me. Nah, I know. I don't want to spend time on this. I know it could be long, so stop it now. Dave, it's not for you. Yeah. And I got out.
David and I spent a little bit of time together on tour this summer, and I was asking him, like, how do I, do this and whatever.
This thing?
Yeah. Like, what's the trick, man? The only one, I think his, the one that hopefully he'll show us, the other one that drove me nuts was the way that Alexander Laura does his.
Oh, the opposite.
Instead of the fingers, this way he does it like just open. It's so crazy. But anyway. We're going down the wormhole. More importantly, let's get Dave on the call. David Kuckhermann on the Handpan Show. All right, Dave, here we are, buddy.
Here we are.
We got a little bit of star power with us today.
Got him, finally.
A little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pull up a chair. This is going to take a second. Our guest today has been a world-renowned percussionist for 20 years, more than 20 years. He's a Grammy-nominated percussionist who's performed all over the world, Royal Albert Hall, the Greek Theater, Ryman Auditorium. He's toured with Dead Can Dance, Lisa Gerrard, in addition to his own solo tours across Europe, USA, and Australia. He's got north of 30,000 Spotify followers, 80,000 on YouTube, and 50,000 people on Instagram. People know the guy.
Yep.
His jaw-dropping collaborations with Nadi Shani and Kirill Osharov have definitely come across your YouTube playlists, and his album Path of the Metal Turtle from 2012 is one of the most iconic handpan albums ever. He could be sucking down Pilsners right now at Oktoberfest, but he's here with us instead. He's our bro from Berlin. He's the dude from Deutschland. He's the one and only David Kuckhermann. What's up, buddy? What's up?
Holy crap, man. What an introduction. That was insane.
Yeah,
I feel so important now.
That's mission accomplished, man. Podcast over. How are you, dude?
How are you guys? Good to be here, man.
It's good to be with you, man.
Hello, little you.
Yeah, there's a little David on screen now.
Here's my daughter just spontaneously joined us. This is Frida.
What's up, Frida?
Do you want to say hi?
Hello.
Ich sage gerade beide Hallo. Möchtest du mal Hallo sagen? Lieber nicht, ja? I think she's going to stay with me for a moment.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure to have her.
The more, the merrier. But welcome to the show, man. Thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you so much, and what an introduction. I've never received such a bombastic one.
Well, hey, man, that's half the fun.
Exactly.
But we're gonna talk.
How long does it take you to come up with these, man?
It's impressive then.
Thank you, man. You know what? It takes about 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and there's because there's real information in there, but then you have to have fun with it. Like, nobody cares if you just say, oh, you've got 30,000 Spotify, but if you say, like, hey, he's our dude from Deutschland, you're like, okay, now I can listen. Now
No,
well done, man. Well done.
Thank you. Hey, man,
I'm impressed.
that means the world. But, yeah, I mean, you have crazy amounts of accolades. You've done a bunch of stuff in music, and we're going to get into all of it. But I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of ripping the Band-Aid off quickly, and something that's not so pleasant in your recent days is you found yourself in the crossfires of this PANArt lawsuit versus the handpan world. You've kind of been, the guy helping with all the funding, getting everyone's attention to it, all this stuff. How did you find yourself in this position, and when did all this start?
Oh man, it's a long story. Well, look, it started about 3 years ago. I got a phone call from a handpan builder friend of mine, and he asked me if I could be in Hamburg at the court in Hamburg the next morning to be a witness in a hearing. And I had no idea what this was about. I didn't know any of the parties involved. And that was like 6 in the evening, I think. And then around 7:30, I had another call. And then I went over there the next morning. And then I was sitting in this courtroom in Hamburg, which was the lawsuit between PANArt and World of Handpans. And that was the first time I had heard about this whole affair. PANArt won that one, and it made me feel quite uneasy because it felt like the beginning of a larger campaign, and it was already, I think, the third one that that had happened. So when I came back, I just contacted some friends of mine. I told them a little bit about the situation, and we started a Facebook group. That was just a public Facebook group, and basically we said, okay, let's get everyone in for whom this is relevant. Who cares about this? And the next morning we were like more than 200 people, and it was just crazy. Everyone has strong opinions about these things, and it was just impossible to have like a constructive discussion because, well, Facebook, things get out of hand and it's just all over the place. So the next step, we created a smaller Discord group with I think about between 20 and 30 handpan builders, where we tried to kind of get an overview of what actually had happened and discuss about, what we as a community can do about it, or if we want to do something about it. But it turned out that someone was sending screenshots from our discussions to PANArt and their lawyer.
Oh my God.
So it was not really possible to discuss anything of sensitive nature. So that still didn't work. And then the only option to actually discuss things was to create an even smaller group, and that is what turned into the kind of first core administrative group of the HCU project, Handpan Community United, in which we try to present the interests of the larger community as much as possible, and to defend against this copyright claim for the shape of the hang, which would affect the building of handpans in the future.
So Dave, what was the exact moment where you realized, like, wow, this is really real and I have to act, we have to act and to take this seriously? And still my question is, why did you do that? Not because, I mean, it's amazing what you've done, and I don't really think people realize how much you've been carrying this thing. where some people would have or have left, and you stay there. And I think it deserves this little moment where I'm saying that you've carried a lot, and I've always been like, why did he did that, and when was the moment he decided to go? That's my question.
So first of all, we're a group of people, right? So this is not me by myself doing this thing. And there have been phases where some of us have been more and less available to do stuff because, I mean, we don't get paid for this, and we all have a life and families to take care of and stuff. So there have been phases where some of us were more and less present, but in general, it's a group of us running this thing. And this in the court in Hamburg, it's something that the judges remarked, and which I think was quite important, that the preparations from PANArt's side for this case were very extensive for a case like this. It was an immediate injunction case. I hope that's the correct English way of saying that, which is the kind of proceeding that's meant to be done very quickly and to bring very quick results. But the preparation was extensive. Like there was extensive documentation provided. There were 2 law firms involved from PANArt's side. And it was just obvious that the world of handpan lawyer was in over his head.
Yeah.
He didn't know much about the instruments. He was like a more affordable lawyer because lawsuits are really expensive, and the company couldn't afford to continue to work with the lawyer they had before, so they had changed. And it was just obvious that the power level was really unequal. And then when we looked at the various other companies that had been targeted, it seemed very much like a strategic choices, you know? Like one had been a Chinese importer who never even replied to the letter. And another one had been the Russian company RAF was. Yeah. But until this paperwork stuff goes over to Russia and is delivered, they received this letter like, I think 1.5 years later, when the court date was long over. Yeah. And because none of these guys had showed up, those were also wins in the books for PANArt. Wow. And the fact that they had already won 3 lawsuits was just concerning. And more letters were going out. If I remember correctly, at that point, some had also gone out to builders. Like the first wave was retailers, and then second wave there were lots of handpan builders. And it just seemed like they were really winning this, not necessarily because they were right, but because it was just not defended on the same level in the courts. Yeah, the strategy. Yeah. Yeah, and I just found that really concerning. Like, imagine a world where there's a strong established copyright on the general. Well, what PANArt won a copyright, and I think were 5 characteristics, which is the lens shape, the circle of tone field, the bass note in the center, the goo hole on the bottom, and originally the brass ring.
Okay.
And imagine all those aspects were copyright protected. That would mean it would be extremely difficult to build anything resembling a handpan. Yeah. Yeah. And I just felt that's a really that's not a beautiful vision for the future, you know? Yeah. And and it was kind of all happening under the radar. So basically, I just felt it's really important to that we do something about it.
Yeah. And so I think it would be kind of helpful to get everyone at least up to like a basic understanding, but you kind of touched on it. Like it's the center note, it's the goo hole, the brass ring, the lens shape of the notes. And what they're saying is anything that has that is a copy, and they want to stop all copies. So this also, I think the part that for the musicians and stuff too, this would mean the live festivals surrounding the instrument, the recorded music, international travel, all of this would be, you were doing it with contraband stuff. Is that all kind of still on the table? Has any of that been resolved or kind of diluted a bit, or is it still very, very serious?
So it would have been a very strange scenario, because this only would have been established first of all for Germany, and then in the next wave probably for the European Union, if that would have been successful. And that would have been in other countries where copyright law is much weaker, people would have been able to build handpans as we know them, but not to sell them to Germany. So I think it would have been like a super crazy black market, and an incredibly difficult situation for handpan builders in Europe, who would be the only ones who would not be allowed to build these handpans. And so the situation right now, I mean, we just had a hearing. Basically, few steps forward. We are now in the middle of court proceedings in Bern, where a whole big group of plaintiffs has started a lawsuit against PANArt, which is a Feststellungsklage. I'm not sure what the English word is. Basically, with the wish for the court to determine that they are not violating a copyright. And that is a really important lawsuit, because, it is where much of this stuff will be decided, how the landscape will look moving forward for handpans. And by the way, copyright law, like a copyright is valid for 70 years after the copyright holder dies. And that would mean we probably would be in this situation for maybe 90 years into the future, which is very different from patent law, which only ever is valid for, I think, 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in this lawsuit, we had the second hearing a few weeks ago in Bern. And it has become, I think, in my perception, all I can share is my perception, and I'm not a lawyer, you know, so I would just speak from my impressions of this, that it has become clear that all these elements will not be copyright protected. And this was the second, potentially last hearing, and before every hearing, our side and also PANArt have submitted extensive documentations to the court with all the arguments and stuff inside. So during the hearing, for example, Reto Weber was there as well, and Ralph van den Boer from Ayasa and Daniel Bernasconi, both handpan builders and members of the HCU admin group, were also there to basically not witness, but to kind of present our side to the court. They were questioned basically, and in the end, the judge asked to potentially find a settlement. PANArt proposed to basically limit the copyright to outie dings.
Okay,
that was the last offer. And I think what's important to keep in mind is that copyright law is about visual appearance of things. It's not about functionality. And we thought that was not acceptable, because it's a very functional element of the handpan. I mean, for me as a player, for sure, and for handpan builders as well. And we made a counter offer of all kinds of cosmetic, like visual changes to establish very clear visual differences between the hung on the one hand and all handpans on the other hand. But that was turned down. And that's where we are. So no settlement has been found, and now the lawsuit will move on to the next phase, basically.
Wow. And, you know, obviously you said you're not a lawyer, you're not a judge, nothing like that. You're also not a psychiatrist. We're not asking you that kind of question, but you have been in the courtroom. You have you've seen kind of firsthand what Felix and Sabina want to do. Is there any idea, the motivation behind all of it? Like, why all this in the first place? Why now? Was there something that kind of pissed them off to the point of saying, this is our thing and no one else can have it? Like, what's the motivation for this whole nightmare, you know?
So I think they're fighting for what they believe is the right thing. You know, that's the fascinating part about this. Like, they're not about money. They like many of their values I can very much relate to. They feel that their creation is exploited, and that handpan builders are all cheap copycats who are in it for the money, basically. That last part, I can't wrap my head around why they have this idea of all the handpan builders, because there are so many artisans who actually came from other jobs that were much better paid, you know, to the handpan world, because they love this instrument just as much as we do. So this is difficult for me to understand why they don't see it, but they're fighting for I think their life's work, you know, and for this work to be protected and not to be exploited. And not to be commercialized. I think that's a big thing as well.
Yeah. Did you? I bet they know who you are. I mean, they knew you from before. Did you have any contact with them before this whole affair?
Felix and we had some a bit of a weird email exchange many years ago. I had I had friends of mine working with them. Who encouraged me to write them a letter, you know, applying for a hung. So I had written them a letter, and with my video, the first video I ever recorded on the song, and you know, just thanked them for their work and asked them if they would consider bidding me a hung. And that was turned down in a very, let's say, unexpected way. That didn't feel very respectful, to be honest. And then we had a little email back and forth, and then a little bit later I received a letter from their lawyer that I should change the text on my website and on my YouTube videos because I had referred to, well, it's fair enough, you know, like Victor at the time had called his instruments hung SPB. Hung is a trademark. I had simply adapted his naming convention. So fair enough, you know. So I changed the text on my website and on the videos. I felt a little weird about this. Nothing like that had ever happened to me, but fair enough, you know. They had the trademark, so it's I think the misconception is that for most of us, hung seems to be the name of the instrument, whereas for them it was the brand also, you know. So I think that was all the. And then of course I met them in Hamburg in the courtroom.
A little awkward, maybe. Was it like when you saw them?
Yeah, it was awkward. I don't remember in Hamburg. I think I said hello in the beginning. There was a moment where I was a witness in Hamburg, right? So they asked me to play the instrument. There were a few things in my testimony where I don't know. Someone later said that they felt offended and they felt I was lying. I don't think it improved our relationship, but we don't have, you know, I don't know them very well. I don't have any relationship with them. I have a lot of respect for them still on a level, and I just very grateful for what they did. Without them, we wouldn't be here. And at the same time, I'm also weirded out by the hostility sometimes and all that strange stuff around this situation.
You didn't know what you were jumping in, right? You didn't know it would go that far and it would take so much energy and.
No, Jesus. I mean,
you thought you was giving a hand to a friend, or you know. Oh yeah.
Wow. Not even a friend, you know. I didn't even know Emmanuel.
Oh,
or so.
Okay.
I just felt like, what the heck is this like
going on?
Wow.
Yeah.
But I promise the whole podcast is definitely not going to be on this. But just a few more things on it. Moving to present day. You mentioned the big court case in September, and the encouragement from the judge to reach this kind of settlement amongst you guys. And how does that even start? Like, you have these people, like you said, fundamentally they think they're right, and fundamentally HCU thinks they're right. Like, what is the negotiation process? Do they really expect everyone to build, non-circular instruments without a ding on top and a goo port on the bottom? Like, what do these negotiations look like when you try to sit down with them?
Okay, so I think what pisses PANArt off is that the shape, in their perspective, the instrument has not been developed by the handpan world. And what they mean by that is that the shape has not evolved. The shape, in their perspective, the shape is still very similar to the hung shape. And it started with these 5 elements that should be protected. And now the way to find a compromise, I think, from their side, felt like, okay, let's see, like, we cannot maybe protect those 5 elements. Let's protect one, the ding.
Yeah.
And our line of thought is, look, we really are up to make any visual changes. We have no problem with distinguishing handpans very clearly from the hung. No one has the intention, at least none of us has the intention, to sell handpans as hungs or to make them look exactly the same.
Yeah.
So we could see all kinds of visual differences, but we don't want to compromise on functionality, and that's, I think, where this didn't come together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing that we saw a lot of was the social media postings from everyone in the community about the support of HCU. This had to be a pretty good feeling to see all the support, right? Or how did you feel about this?
Yeah, look, it's been a bit of a journey, In the beginning, it felt like there was a lot of criticism coming our way, and I think a big part of that criticism was, okay, why such a small group? Why not do it democratically? Why do these people think they should make decisions for everyone? And maybe not everyone agreed on how this should be handled,
Yeah.
And even between us, we sometimes have different opinions how these things should be handled. And I can really relate to that, But of course, at the same time, it's kind of a little painful when you put so much energy into something and then not because, you don't really, as I said, we don't get paid and it's not easy to make the space for this. Yeah. And then the result is this kind of criticism. But as I said, I can also relate to that. And that has been kind of shifted a little bit, I think, and more people are supportive now. And of course, that feels great,
Yeah. Do you think it's because they are now realizing the whole thing, where they're like, oh, it's something in Europe over there just for 1 or 2 guys, and now they are realizing the whole handpan is in danger, kind of?
I think a big problem was our communication, to be honest. Like we really sucked at communication, and we still do. We have no one who is a natural communicator. None of us actually wants to show their faces, to be honest, very much.
Yeah.
And we all prefer to do stuff, but not so much towards the public, And of course, it would have needed from the beginning a much better communication, constant updates, what's going on, and we just simply sucked at that part. And I think that was one of the main reasons why there was a lot of criticism coming. And we've been trying to improve that. And I think, also people are a bit maybe more aware of what's at stake and understand the situation maybe a bit more. And but there are still critics. I mean, it's social media is social media. It's there's always going to be a shitstorm. No matter where you look. So,
but man, we're almost through to happier times. But something that came up this summer, I think it's important to ask is how you're doing with all this, because when we spoke this summer, man, it felt like this was really affecting you, and just would love to know how you're doing with all of this, because it certainly seems pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. I've had my ups and downs with this, you know. Certainly over the past 3 years, there were a few moments where I really wanted to quit. But I didn't really feel that I can. And now I think things are coming around to and things are going in a better direction, you know.
Yeah.
The current admin team is quite present and quite up to work together on stuff, which is nice.
Nice.
And there was just a period, just because of how everyone's life went, you know, and all the challenges that people are facing, where a big workload was on me, and I didn't really want to take it, but I also felt, okay, if I don't take it, this is really going to go down.
Yeah.
So that felt a bit much at times, but I think this period is over, and slowly, I feel better again with the project.
Nice. So you think, I mean, obviously, I can't stress enough, you are not a lawyer. You're not speaking legal, secrets or anything. You're not a maker. You're not a lawyer or anything. But what do you think, as somebody who's been so close to this, and, you know, there's been so much development, what do you think the end looks like? Is there actually a change because of all this? Is this just kind of like an ugly blip on the radar of the instrument? Like, what do you think is the end result with all of it?
So my estimate, which of course is based on talks with the lawyers and stuff, and but this is just my personal opinion. It doesn't reflect HCU or the lawyers or anyone. My estimate would be that I think there's a good chance that there will be a copyright on some of the hung models. Mm-hmm. And I think it's likely that copyright will be very narrow.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I know that one test that is sometimes done in copyright laws, that you put two objects on a table, like from 5 meter distance, and you see if you can distinguish them, you know, or if one looks exactly like the other. Yeah. And if you can't distinguish them, then that's a copyright violation. And if you cannot distinguish them, it does not violate the copyright. Yep. And with let's say if you use a criteria like that, 99% of handpans would anyway fall off the scope of a copyright. Yep. Yeah. This is just, you know, of course it could go many other directions. Yep. You know. Yeah. But this is what I think is the maybe the most one likely outcome, that there is going to be some kind of copyright on some of the hung models, but most handpans will not violate it. And maybe then whatever the judges decide, because there are hundreds of instruments, hundreds of handpans are in the documentations for the lawsuit, and they all will have to be decided on if they violate a copyright or not.
That's crazy.
So
man.
Depending on the criteria that the judges use, that will then basically shape the landscape for handpan builders to come, so that everyone knows, okay, I have to avoid this and this and this, or maybe just this, and then I'm sure to stay clear of any potential copyright claims.
Are there any bells in the group?
No. And look, this is, I think, another thing that pissed off PANArt from the beginning, and rightfully so, you know, like it's really stupid to make such close copies, even the logo, I think even the font and everything. Sure. It's like, you know, like, so unfortunately their stuff has happened between the handpan community and them, which also rightfully pissed them off, you know, over the years.
Sure. Yeah.
I wish there was a way to mend this, but after how the settlement talks went, I don't know. I don't really see how.
Yeah. Thanks. Last thing
it's
here.
So, you know, it's so bizarre.
Go for it.
I think many of us have the wish to heal this relationship, you know. It's like, we love these instruments. We spend every day with these instruments, and we want to have a positive relation to the people who came up with this idea, you know. And I feel that strongly in myself, and also in many of the people I talk to. So Yeah, I wish there was a way, but so far, it seems difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are all these kind of kids who just want to connect with their dad, you know, like you want to connect with your
something
roots.
Like that.
Yeah, something like this, you know, like I would love to see him in a festival being like, you know, a grandpa with, wow, looking at all this and be super proud of. And everyone is so thankful. Maybe with time now things have changed for some people, but still, I want to say thank you to this guy. As you said, we wouldn't be there having something called the Handpan show or whatever. But yeah, it's we will never have this, but at least I hope there will be kind of a great end for everyone, and also for us, kind of a recognition of some stuff that are legit, and but so that we can all continue to do our thing. Maybe one last thing, Dave, what do people need to know, and more importantly, what does HCU need to continue to defend? You know. What do you want to say to the people who are listening?
So from the builder community, join our Zoom meetings. We have a mailing list, especially for handpan builders, to keep you guys updated, to stay informed, to meet with us, and to just share your input, your thoughts, give your feedback. And then on the other hand, we basically need funding to continue this project. It's a very expensive project. It will most likely move forward for many years, and it's not an easy task to keep that funding going long term. Yeah. Yes, in the beginning there was a big outrage. The crowdfunding campaign went really well, but you know, this was 3 years ago, and it looks like this. Maybe one more thing that's relevant, like this is the second hearing of the first half of the lawsuit, because in the after the first hearing, the judge decided, okay, we will split this lawsuit in two parts. The first part, we will only deal with the question: is there a copyright at all on any of the hung models? Once that is decided, and this is the decision that is, you know, that's going to be the next big step, and afterwards there's a whole second part to the proceedings where it will be decided which handpans, or if any handpans, actually violate such a copyright.
Wow.
So now we are in the second hearing of the first half of the lawsuit. It will take probably at least half a year or so until there's a verdict. And should there be a copyright, which, you know, could very well happen, then it's gonna continue for another few years, you know. And also, the loser always has the possibility to appeal these decisions, to go to the next higher court.
Wow.
So, you know, this thing can easily take another 7, 8, 9 years. And I think as long as we can keep it going, then a positive outcome is very likely for the handpan community.
Yeah.
If we run out of funding, it's a different story.
Yeah. Damn. Well,
thanks.
Thanks for the update. Thanks for all you do. We won't stay on this the whole time. And if you need a beer or a cigarette break right now, you just let us know. We'll stop the recording. But yeah, the next part of this, man, is kind of all about you. Yeah. You have been playing for.
I'll have a little snack.
You have been playing for a long time, man. In that album, Path of the Metal Turtle, 2012. That's in handpan years. That's a very long time. Where did your love of handpans come from? Where did you start? Why did you start? And where did your love for this come from? It
was not love on first sight. That's what I can tell.
Excellent.
So I was working as a full-time percussionist since I think since the early 2000s, and I encountered hung from time to time. I remember seeing a percussionist coming. I was studying in Rotterdam at the World Music Conservatory, and there was a percussionist coming through playing a solo concert, and he had a hung with him, and I was very much unimpressed with this instrument. I felt it's just, kind of pling plong, not interesting, not deep, you know, just like basically a toy.
It was a Zidiao.
And then another few years passed. What?
It was a Zidiao
You mean
scale.
C major pentatonic?
That's right.
Maybe, yeah. Then I went on a tour in Chile with a band with some good friends of mine called Mishra. And these guys had 2 first gens as part of the instrumentarium. So I was playing them in the concerts. One piece with mallets, and the other piece, I think someone else played them. I think I only played them in one piece and with mallets. Mm-hmm. And man, I was still so unimpressed with this instrument. I just wanted to practice my drums, you know. And then at some point, again, like I think 1 or 2 years later, I was stuck at home with the flu. I was at my mom's place. So I was studying in Rotterdam, but I had been home, and then I got sick, so I was stuck. And I was just browsing YouTube. And I ended up watching Mono Desire by Manu de Lago.
Yeah, man.
And that was the moment where I thought, like, what?
Yeah.
Clicked. Yeah.
What was this? You know,
Yeah.
like
Me too. That was the one for me.
such an early masterpiece, and I think it really was so ahead of its time and showcased the potential as a musical instrument. You know, in a very percussive way, which of course spoke to me with my background. So that's when I thought, like, shit, I think I have to check this out, like, properly. And then I wrote the band, hey guys, do you maybe want to get rid of your first gens?
They said yes.
And they said, let's think about it. Okay, you know, we love you, so we will sell them to you.
Wow.
For a good price, you know. That was the time when first gens went for like 8,000 or so, and they gave them to me for really cheap.
Oh, wow.
And also, I had stumbled across this guy, Victor Levinson, on YouTube. And I had written him very early.
Yeah.
And he built me some instruments. So I went to Russia to pick them up, 2 SPBs. And that's really when it started. And then Dead Can Dance asked me to join their tour as a percussionist, and also if I would be interested to play the opening sets.
Wow. Yeah.
And I thought, like, shit, if I do that actually, and I play these places with a hung handpan solo program, I really need an album. So I just spent like 6 weeks. It was such an amazing time, man. It was like, if I remember this, being in a state of constant joy, you know. Every night I was already looking forward to waking up the next day, starting to play again. Just my days were filled with the joy of discovering these beautiful instruments and creating music, and, you know, discovering more playing stuff. And one of the most beautiful 6 weeks of my life, I think.
Oh, nice.
And so that was a very intense honeymoon. And then this tour happened, which was crazy, because suddenly I played these huge theaters with like just a few hungs and handpans, and my life has not been the same, you know, like it has become my main instrument. I just love it still just as much, you know. Such curious, odd, amazing things.
Yeah, true. So you would say that this tour and that introduction with Dead Can Dance, and the fact that you had to work on something for the intro and stuff, that's the moment where you knew something was shifting and that the handpan would take over your life, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I kind of, those weeks, especially the weeks working on the album, you know, it was just this, it was just so beautiful. This pure joy of discovering music. And then sometimes I had that, you know, I knew it from the percussion world, but in a different way. Like, playing can just take you to the space of peace and just being content with you and the world and your place in the world and everything. And that was such an intense experience of this. I think that's at some point I must have realized that my life is going to be a little different.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. But you've also done some work with some big artists. I mean, Dead Can Dance and Lisa Gerrard. I mean, she did the Gladiator song, right? That was her. Like, what was the process like working with these artists? How did you find that?
So with Dead Can Dance, I did some recordings with them, but I mostly worked with them as a like performer, you know, playing their tunes. So with the Dead Can Dance concert programs, it's very much about replicating the piece exactly as it's recorded. Which was completely different than any other gig I did, you know. Before I used to tour with this jazz trio, it was different every time, even the instruments I picked, you know. One day I feel like playing the Udo in this piece, the next day I feel like, I don't know, playing the Rick, and it was complete freedom. And now it suddenly was about playing every stroke exactly where it's in the arrangement. That's interesting, and it was amazing to play with them on stage. They had been my heroes, the heroes of my teenage years. I listened to them all the time. That was an incredible experience, you know.
That's awesome.
And then also a friendship developed with Braden and with Lisa also, and then she invited me to some of her solo shows and also to record an album together, which just blew my mind. I mean, she's an incredible artist. She's also very successful and well known, and it was a crazy project also to work with her. Again, it's very different than working with anyone else. She just improvises, you know.
Wow.
So the way the workflow was that I prepared an arrangement that is comfortable for her to improvise over. Then she improvised 3, 4, 5 takes, and then I built the final piece around her improvisations.
Cool.
You know,
nice.
That's a cool process, man.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, also hard, and it took I was so stuck with this album that for 1 year I did not work on it, and then but thankfully I found my way back in and managed to finish it.
That's great.
There are some great tracks, and also on your album, The Path of the Turtle, you were saying that Manu wrote a masterpiece, Mono Desire, but I have to admit that the Kubana Nook, I always have a hard time with his name. Kubana Nook, come on, just can you?
Kubana Nook.
Could you make it shorter? Kubana Nook. Kuba. The Kuba one is a masterpiece. I mean, everyone knows that one, and it's. I don't know how you came up with this boom.
That's a great one, man.
That movement, everyone
so much,
was
guys.
trying to have it, you know.
But
thanks so much.
That album was 2012. You know, you've done some stuff with other artists. You've done some stuff with Bobe Beats. We saw each other a lot this summer. You did a lot of new music, which begs the question, man. When is the next album coming? The next continuation of Path of the Metal Turtle? When's it happening? With all your free time.
Hopefully soon.
With all your
Hopefully
free
soon.
time.
Exactly. With all my free time. It depends maybe a little bit on how the HCU project develops. And life in general. But I really, really, really want to go back to the studio. I want to do an EP from the pieces that I perform with my wife. We often play in a duo together, and those 4 pieces I really would love to release as part of maybe just as an EP by itself, and then to do another album. I want to do it. Just need to find the time.
It's far.
I've been saying that since 2 years.
The Handpan Show is brought to you by Master the Handpan, the world's largest online handpan educational platform. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced player, or want to learn from one of your favorite players, Master the Handpan has everything you need to improve your skills and have fun. Feeling lost while searching for your first handpan? Master the Handpan has you covered with our one-stop marketplace, connecting you with reputable makers to find your perfect instrument. Join our thriving community of over 15,000 handpan players and share your passion with like-minded handpan enthusiasts. Master the Handpan. Learn fast, have fun.
But hey, man, we have a few more things to get into. But before we do, we'd like to play a little game with our guests. Is rapid fire questions to break up the monotony of handpan question and answer. Are you down to play with us?
Sure thing.
Let's do it.
Go. Are you playing with me, or am I the one answering?
You're the one answering.
Yeah, you're the one answering.
Yeah.
All right.
So first question: what was the first album you've ever owned?
Bravo Hits 2, I think.
Bravo Hits. What is that one?
It's a compilation.
That's a compilation of stupid popular music that teenagers listen to.
Okay,
no,
gotcha.
actually, it's not true. I think it was the Beatles' White Album that was before my pop music phase.
Okay.
But
What?
I didn't buy that album. I inherited it from my dad.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
what we say. Oh, you mean the Beatles of the Bravo hits?
No, not the Bravo. It's the White Album.
You know, the CDs at home, people come and say, "Oh, what is this thing? Backstreet Boys. Oh, it's not mine. It's from a friend.
I
He
found
left
that,
it,
actually.
My sister and."
Someone forgot it here.
All right, question number 2. What is your dream collaboration?
You know, I was going to say Lisa Gerrard, but I really enjoyed working with her. Oh, man. Can't say. Interesting. I should think about this.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. What is one artist that you love that people would be surprised to know?
Edge of Sanity and a bunch of other death metal bands and thrash metal bands I used to listen to in my teenage years.
Nice.
Sepultura, Korn.
Yeah. Max Cavalera.
Yee-hoo.
Yeah, Soulfly. Excellent.
Also a bunch of rap music that, you know, that gets once you listen to the lyrics, you have to switch it off. But as long as you manage to ignore the lyrics, I love it.
Yeah.
True. What is your biggest pet peeve?
What's a pet peeve?
It's like the thing that drives you crazy, like
Yeah.
you're the thing that annoys you the most.
Yeah. It could
Like
be
Amy Naylor's was like chewing in her ear, you know,
yeah,
like
or it
people
could be
who drive slow.
opening the milk. You know, it's always
Yeah.
What annoys me the most?
you know those little things.
Yeah. What is something that annoys me? Just my own tendency to like misplace stuff. I'm constantly looking for something, you know, constantly. I wish I could have an AirTag on everything I own, you know. So whenever I can just go through the menu, okay,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
On
You know,
Frida
whatever.
on the back, you know, somewhere here an AirTag. On kids. Oh, actually, guys, it does exist. I saw some clothes that you can buy now. There is a GPS thing for kids. Like you want to know where he is and stuff. Weird.
I feel like the marketing for that would be like, are you a forgetful parent? Here's your solution.
do you forget you have
Do you
kids
forget
sometimes?
where they end up? What is your most embarrassing moment on stage?
There was a concert with my frame drum teacher, Glenn Velez. There was a woman in the audience I really wanted to impress, and I just completely fucked it up. Like, I had a whole arrangement, 3 or 4 different instruments switching for every part of the song. I grabbed the wrong instrument, I forgot the rhythm. It was really embarrassing, and it was also my first time at Tamburi Mundi, the biggest frame drum festival in the world, where I kind of wanted to, I mean, mainly I wanted to impress her, but I also wanted to leave a good impression on the
Audience.
on the frame drum scene in general. Yeah, it didn't quite work.
Thanks for sharing. Excellent. Did you get to talk with that woman?
Did I get to what?
To talk with that woman right after the show, or
Yes, of course.
Nice.
Yes. She was supportive.
excellent.
It's fun, you know. It was a good experience because always when I'm like maybe a bit nervous before a show, I remember that moment, and you know, afterwards you realize life goes on.
Yeah.
It's all not so bad. And
You're like, you know, I came
what's the
through
worst
that.
that can happen,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food. I'm not a foodie. I have a sweet tooth. I love ice cream. And I love chickpeas and lentils.
Very healthy.
Lentils.
So that's,
Les lentilles. Yeah.
Lentils,
Okay.
yes.
Lentils.
Yeah, the long
Nice.
tea.
Lentil.
You know, lens shape, you know.
Yeah. Do you like the apex one or the impex one?
I'm a big Apex lentil fan.
Yeah, that's it. Not a lawyer, though. Not a lawyer. We have to. Who is your current favorite handpan artist?
Usually it's Cabezao, you know. I love his playing and his taste and his approach to music. I also love Daniele Ribaudo very much.
No.
Amazing player.
Yeah.
Quentin, amazing compositions. Quentin Kaiser. Nadishana always inspiring for his, and also Kirill for the technical craziness.
Yeah.
I guess. No.
Nice.
Nice. What are your hobbies? Maybe not right now, but usually, what are your hobbies outside of music?
Board games.
Ball games? Which ones?
Board games.
Board games.
Anything.
Wow.
Yeah, anything
nice.
depending who I play with. I have a regular group that we meet with once a week. And when I have less busy times, I try to play at least twice a week. And, we play anything from like sometimes more casual stuff, but often like more involved like strategic games and stuff.
Oh, nice. Wow,
Nice,
cool.
man. All right, 2 more. What is the one song that makes you happy every time you hear it?
I gotta go with Amy. I think some of her songs, like they're just some of her songs that make me happy when I hear them. The Goddess song is just really nice. There are like 2 or 3 on the Earth Teachers, which just make me happy. When I hear them.
Nice.
Okay.
And also,
also
Rainmaker by
Rainmaker,
by Lea and Marquetta. And it's so funny that it always starts to rain.
Yeah, that was this summer
I
at
love
the
that one
Wild
too.
Nile one. It was like that huge thunderstorm as
storm.
soon as it
That's
started
right.
playing. It was crazy, man.
That was excellent. When you see Alex blowing the didgeridoo and then he's like, what? It's really happening. Excellent. Okay, we love this last one because it never happens and it will never happen. I mean, I wish you that, but what would you do if you had $1 billion? What would be the first thing you would buy?
$1 billion.
Billion. B.
Billion.
Could even say euros if you want more.
I don't know. I don't have any crazy material wishes, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would I buy?
Like you buy your mortgage or your.
I would imagine the HCU would have a few more attorneys running around.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. I don't know. I don't know. I think first I would sit down and I would think about how much do I want to keep of this? Like how much do I need to make, to do like everything I want to do in my life? Maybe that's how much is a billion? How many millions is that?
It's isn't it 1,000 billions?
1,000
It's
billions?
1,000 billion.
No, I'm
So-
sorry, 1,000 millions. 1,000 millions is 1
It's
billion.
1,000 millions.
Yeah.
So maybe I would think about, okay, like let's keep 100 for now. I'm sure I can buy anything I will ever want with that, and let's find like nice good
Projects
things to
and
do
stuff,
with some of the rest. I don't know. Would be amazing, You can do so much. You can make so many people
Happy
help
and
out
to
so many
bless
people.
them.
It would be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice.
And still, you still have 100 million on the bank, So
yeah, which is quite okay.
I wouldn't mind having a billion.
Amazing. Thanks for playing along with these questions. But bro, let's get into probably your biggest endeavor, Handpan Dojo. Tell us about this platform, creating it, what you hope to accomplish, all of it.
So I have to go back many years when I'm old in handpan terms. I'm like 44. So in the early 2000s, I was studying percussion, and I was super fortunate that my parents gave me financial support, so I didn't have to do jobs, and I could really focus on practicing. And I was like a sponge, I was just like, that was my mission, to explore music and the world of percussion. And for many of the instruments I wanted to learn, there were no teachers where I was. So I started to buy all kinds of VHS tapes with instruction, They were really, VHS tapes, crazy. It's like more noise than anything.
Yeah.
But there were some really nice ones, especially one by a woman called Lane Redmond, who was a very, very lovely person and a frame drummer. She was a student of Glenn Velez, the guy that I fucked up on stage with later, a few years later. So I worked with her VHS tape, and it was really, really nice to work with. And then a few years later, I was at PASIC PASIC is a big percussion convention in the States that happens every year. So I was at PASIC, and I think I was giving a clinic there, and she was also giving a clinic there. And then I saw her sitting on the bench in one of the hallways. And I sat down next to her and said, "Hey, I know you from my living room." And she smiled at me, and she gave me a big hug and invited me to join her clinic presentation later. And we kind of developed also like a friendship. And it was a very, very beautiful experience for me. And this, along with the fact that the internet was starting and there were the first percussion tutorials online to learn from, really made me want to teach that way as well. Because it had given me so much in my study time and had enabled me to learn instruments that otherwise I would not have been able to discover.
Yeah.
So in 2005, I started to record instructional DVDs for frame drums, Darabuka, Rick. And that was the start of this. So I had a whole series, I think 10 or 11 DVDs for all kinds of percussion instruments. And after a while, I got into a fight with the producer. I produced the first ones in a TV studio. And then we got into a fight. And because he was a friend of mine, we had never made a contract, which, can be a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you don't know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So basically, we had like 2 more DVDs produced. Everything was done. I had paid for the production. Video editing was done. But they didn't release the material.
Oh, no.
So that was the first lawsuit I was ever involved with. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to do this by myself. And then it was a very, very bumpy road. Like it was quite expensive to get a good camera at the point and so on. And I had a few more, first I had a few more bad experiences with different production companies. And then I decided, okay, I will do this by myself. And that's how it started. I'm doing a bit fast forward because we want to come to that. So I started doing this in the attic of my mom's, like the under the roof. I put up a curtain, sit in front of the curtain with a cajon, put the camera on, started to do my instructional DVDs. A little while later, people were not using DVDs very much anymore, so I moved to an online platform, which was the World Percussion Academy, which still exists. And by the way, those early tutorials, they're really cringe. I mean, if you, when I look back at them now, it's absolutely hilarious. Anyway, so then everything moved to the online platform. And at some point, I also had released the Handpan DVDs with Colin together, and then a few of my own. And then a few years later, our friend David here showed us how it's done properly to set up a handpan teaching platform with Master the Handpan. And that really inspired me to also take my platform to another level. And to really up the production quality and the quality of everything around this thing. And to me, this is such a beautiful work, like you get in touch with people from all over the world. You can bring these instruments in their living rooms. And now sometimes I have someone sit next to me at a festival. Literally, they tell me, "Hey, I know you from my living room." And I always love it so much when that happens, because it reminds me of that situations many years ago.
Yeah.
And and that's how it started and how it developed over the years.
That's awesome. I think I actually still have one of I think it's the intermediate DVD that you did. Well, the first time we met was like 2014, and you were I just said like, "Dude, I love your videos," and you were like, "Thanks, take this," and I was like, "Okay, thanks." I think it's still it's somewhere in the closet, but
nice.
It's kind of funny, man. There's not too many people that know the let's call it tedious experience that is producing a course, but you are in good company here with the two of us between planning and editing and production, so we know the workload that goes into it. What is your process like for developing courses? Like, how do you determine what goes in, what stays out, what's ready, what's not?
So first, I guess I sit down with what is the course about, let's say composition. And then I think about all the things all the skills and all the approaches you can find around composing a piece of music. I'm thinking of my own pieces and how they came to be. I'm thinking of maybe I talk to other people, how their composition process is. And then I try to come up with a list of all the skills I wanna teach in this course. And to me, creating a course, it's a very creative work, a little bit like creating a piece of music, you want to have an experience in the end that really brings the student from A to B in the most efficient and fun way possible, and to make this really like a beautiful experience for the student. And I think, I guess for you guys, it's probably the same, it's an amazing feeling when you have it, when you've done it and you can see how it comes together. And then, there's whole stuff around it. I mean,
nice. And organizing everything and creating, as you said, this path for the students so that it makes sense. It's not like random skills, unorganized. But it's impressive the size of the courses that you are releasing. And those ebooks and stuff, and the amount of work that is behind. We are
so much,
at Master the Handpan always like, this is a big course, like tons of videos and all these animating things and Congratulations.
And
thank you. Thanks for saying that. We try to actually to develop to come to a bit shorter course lengths. Because it is true, it's a bit insane, some of the courses, but it's all a learning process. And I always thought, okay, I want to give the student as much as I can, I always try to over deliver, but I needed time to understand that it's sometimes like something a bit more compact that the player can actually move through and finish and have the moment of success, like, I got it now. That is sometimes actually
less is more.
Exactly. That even be the better approach.
Because there is such a great feeling. It's the same. I'm always saying that with book. When you're done with the book, what do you want to do? You want to talk about it and you want to jump to the next one, So having this feeling and maybe smaller stuff, but at the end, 100% complete. I'm done, and it's so grateful. And people need encouragement a lot. Sometimes even more than the skills. They need us to be like, you're doing good. Honestly, you're doing good. Look at you. Before, after, look now, both hands are moving and stuff. And so I really agree with you. So many times we were like, should we have smaller things they can finish and then they can access the next one and stuff? So I really connect and identify with this.
And you also, you mentioned, the kind of the other stuff around the course and all that. And we'd be remiss not to, shout out your team. I know it's Yolanda helps you with stuff. Like, who else is part of your team?
Yolanda and Dimitri. Dimitri has taken over all the animation and notation stuff, and he's doing such an amazing work. He was just he was a community member, and I was just kind of asking, hey, who wants to kind of
help
to troubleshoot the new course, to just look through it and and show me the mistakes. And he was doing such a great work with that I just asked him if he wanted to start to work for us.
And before that, you were doing all the editing yourself?
Yes, I was.
Jeez.
It was a little insane. My mistake in the beginning was that I thought, okay, what would I have loved in a course, right? Like 10 years ago. What would have been the perfect course for me? But I was already a full-time musician. I spent like 5 hours a day practicing. That is not representative for most of our students, So, and that I just had to understand that, and it took me a while.
Yeah, thanks. It's kind of an elephant in the room, but we are kind of competitors, bro. But something we admire about you and the platform is your level of quality and professionalism. 2023 is coming to a close. What are you excited about in 2024?
You mean in general or in relation to Handpan Dojo?
Just
in general, anything.
No, maybe Handpan Dojo and your music and Handpan Dojo. What are you excited about for 2024?
So for Handpan Dojo, right now I'm most excited about releasing our rhythm library, but that will come out next month.
Nice.
Which is like a huge collection of rhythms from all over the world, like interpreted on the handpan basically, and including like play along tracks that I recorded, and like one of those crazy booklets where you just have all the rhythms together, and that's just been my baby project for the past year. So I'm really excited to get that out.
Nice.
And in terms of other projects, I think maybe I get to do the EP with Milena, with my wife. That would be really nice
Nice, man.
to release at some point.
Well, we got like 2 more things for you here, man. But a lot of times in the handpan world, especially when they hear Kuckhermann, the immediate next word is Nadishana. The duos, the compilations, the compositions that you guys did together are amazing. How did you meet Vlad? How did you guys start working together? Let's hear the origin story.
So that was again. I mean, when was that? Early 2000s or mid 2000s? MySpace time. I'm not sure if you guys are old enough to remember that. Maybe not.
MySpace.
MySpace
for sure.
was like,
for sure.
Yeah, MySpace.
Of course,
okay.
man.
Social media network before Facebook, right? And
Yeah.
it was a great time for musicians because
Yeah.
MySpace was just a perfect platform for musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And both me and Vlad, we had our MySpace profiles up, with the videos and stuff. And then he wrote me, I get this really funky email from him that he's living in Berlin and if I want to meet up. So I said, sure. And then he and his wife, Jule, they came to my practice room. And it was just love at first sight, I would say. We hung out on the roof. In my practice room, you could just step out of the window, sit on the roof. So we were just hanging out on the roof while the sun was going down, exchanging stories. They have a really interesting and crazy life story coming up in Russia. Ask him at some point if you meet him about his early life. It's craziness, very fascinating. Anyway, so we connected right away, and then we had a trio, but I wasn't playing handpans yet, so I was playing mostly percussion, and he playing all kinds of instruments, and we just became brothers and toured the world together for 15-20 years.
That's awesome, man.
As a duo, with different trios, and then again as a duo.
It's become one of my favorite things with Nadishan at the festivals that we're on is to try to make him laugh. Because before COVID, he used to be so serious. And I remember like the first time I met him at Hangout US, everyone was kind of like, oh, there he is. And I remember asking him like, dude, what's wrong with 4/4? Why do you hate playing stuff that I can understand? And at first he looked at me like, what the hell? And then I started to laugh like, ah. And then he laughed too. And I was like, all right, cool, we're friends now. But yeah, it's I love the duo with you guys, man. It's awesome.
It's incredible to watch and to listen.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, the songs are
Good
crazy.
memories.
Maybe can you give us one exercise to do to be able to do the fingernail roll like you and him? Can you help us on that?
Sure.
Can we have a free lesson?
Sure. Here's the free lesson. So, put your thumb over your fingers, with the pinky being on the edge here.
Yeah.
Now, first exercise, just take your fingers separately, starting with the pinky. Flick it off the thumb, and ideally do this with a handpan, and try to get a good sound out of this. Something you have to keep in mind is not to stretch your finger, but to always keep it bent so that you hit the surface as much with the flat nail as possible, not only with the tip of the nail. So you do that with all the 4 fingers. Next is the ring finger. Next the middle finger. And last the index finger.
Okay. Let's give it a try.
And then you do that one after the other. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, nice. Not bad. That sounds pretty good.
But wait for the left.
It's just going to be straight down.
So, kind of cool.
Decent. Not too bad.
I have 2 of them. They want to go. They want to be. They are twins. These one are twins.
Yeah.
They want to go together.
So then you just take that first one, and teach it the single stroke first.
I like that.
Man, it took me like 9 months to really get that technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad.
This is gonna
keep at it.
Yeah, this is gonna be the worst segment for anybody just listening to this podcast without
Oh
watching.
yeah, without the video. But,
I can do it on the
on the microphone.
On the microphone.
and you can do it on the car shield.
There you go.
Yeah, nice. And you can do it on the car shield.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Anywhere you can practice on your head.
Yeah.
And you have a good sound when you do it here.
That's awesome. But well, thank you for the little micro lesson there.
Yes.
That's all.
Cheers,
that's
guys.
all we had for you, man. The floor is yours. Plug away. Tell people where they could find you, what to look out for.
Well, I guess handpandojo.com or the Instagrams and Facebooks of this world. Just put Handpan Dojo. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, Spotify, YouTube. In YouTube, you can put my name.
Yeah.
If you want to check out those videos with Natishana, they're like 10, 12 years in the past, but they're there.
Sort by oldest.
I think that's it. Yeah,
That's great, man.
Excellent.
David
Thank you very
Kuckhermann on the
much.
Handpan Show.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. Very much appreciate it. It was
it's
a
an
pleasure
honor.
to hang out with you guys.
It's an honor to have you. Thanks a lot.
And thanks for everything that you guys do.
Perfect.
I just want to say, also, it's always an inspiration.